They got to be tied into what they're supposed to do, okay, and the rest take care of itself, right? As long as their timing is good, it makes them more accurate when they're having to adjust to different receivers. So I think it can be a good thing for QBs to sometimes have to work through different skill position groups. However, you also want to build continuity. So yeah, it's a challenge, right? But it's not new. We kind of go through it every year. I think most teams go through this. Guys are going to be down for a few days, and you got to adjust. So we just work through it. It lets guys get more reps. You work through the ups and downs, and you just keep going day by day.
At that position, it seems like there's a good chance that a newcomer or a young guy could be in a fairly prominent role in week one. Do you see anybody, making a move, taking a step, either, coming out of the spring or these first few days of camp, who isn't an incumbent, who's new to the team?
I think it's early. I think it's definitely too early to tell about who's going to be ready for week one. I think at that position group we probably have more competition than we've had in the past couple of years, just based on kind of who's been out there. With BA being out with his injury, with some of the young guys we have with Jordan, with Jake, who also hasn't been out there. But it's given a lot of guys opportunities to show what they're made of. Guys we haven't seen a lot of. But as far as, saying who's ready for week one, who's going to be out there, it's definitely too early to tell. We got to keep stacking days.
Sometimes guys that are rehabbing a serious injury, and they're going to be playing for well. You don't see that much, but Aiyuk's been pretty conspicuous out there with the position group, kind of talking to guys and almost pantomiming what they're doing, and more than you usually see with a guy that's been hurt. Yeah. How has his level of engagement been in meetings and in those situations, to your view?
It's been awesome. He's out there every day. He's with those guys. He's very much a part of the position group, meaning he's not just isolated doing his rehab and then, being around the building. He's in the individual drills with them. He's on the field. When we are in meetings, he's engaged. When we're at walkthroughs, he's with those guys. He's helping Hank kind of coach on the side. So, I'm real happy with BA right now with where he's at. Obviously, he's doing his rehab and he's doing what he has to do to be ready to go.
Quickly is Mac Jones picking up the offense in the meeting rooms, and how is he doing on the field?
He's picking it up really well. He's been really impressive. Mac's a really smart guy. He got all these reps in OTAs for the first time, and now he's kind of getting the second time through it. Okay, and you can see improvement. Yes, there's ups and downs. Yes, there's times when he needs to be more on it, like anybody does. But Mac's real impressive picking up the offense, and I think he's executing really well. And like I keep saying, he needs to keep stacking days and getting better.
So Gage is a guy who's a couple years removed from a really serious knee injury. Since he's been in the building, kind of what have you seen about him? Not just how he's picking things up, but also just physically how he's doing.
Yeah, first of all, he's a pro. He's been around, and you can tell the way he prepares, the way he works, the way he gets his body ready to practice every day. And he's a guy who, to me, has definitely taken a big step from OTAs. In OTAs, he was learning, and so there's just kind of you might be a hair slower when you're still trying to figure it all out. You can tell he's really putting in the work in the classroom and mental part of it, and it's made him play faster. He's doing a great job. He's out there every day. He's healthy. He's been stacking days, and he's a guy I've been pretty pleased with so far.
How do you feel like the rookies are picking up the offense this far?
Doing a good job. It's a struggle. It's for rookies. They got to learn. You learn it once in OTAs in the off season, and then you take the break and you come back and you kind of learn it again. Right? There's always ups and downs, but those guys are doing a really good job. They're putting in the work. They're doing everything they can do.
When you look at it from a coach's perspective, like this time of camp, you got the pads on. You're going to have these young rookie running backs doing blitz pickup, pass protection for the first time. What do you look at as a coach in that drill, and does that excite you guys too at this point of camp to see if they're ready for that?
Yeah, you're talking about the one-on-one periods. Yeah, you're just looking at on their technique, that they're sticking their face in there and being physical and being stout. You're looking for the technique too. So you're coaching both of those things, and then when you get into the team drills, you're making sure that they're on their protection rules and they're ready for pick up those blitzes. So this guy's been awesome so far. Coach T and Coach Revelis, they put in all the work to get those guys ready. So they're doing a good job.
I guess developing that over last year.
I think any young back, it's seeing all the blitzes, kind of learning our rules. Right, that's the first part of it, is the mental part of it. Okay, and then you really just get your first full speed NFL blitzes, and it can be a shock, and you kind of get that in the preseason. And he made tremendous strides as the year went on, and he's a guy he's been good so far in camp. So
going back to Aiyuk, I don't know if this would be your area, but do you have to kind of watch him to make sure he's not doing anything he can't be doing, being on PUP when he gets on the field?
It's definitely not my area, you know. I know there's rules or whatever. I just, you know, he's out there. He's just in gym shorts and he's engaged with the guys on the side. So I don't think he's doing anything physical that he's not supposed to do. Yeah.
How do you see the tight end room shaping up?
Yeah, I mean, obviously George has had a good camp so far, and you know, real happy with where he's at. And then when we brought Luke in the offseason, and Luke's been doing a good job. You know, Luke's a big physical guy who's going to do a lot for us in the run game and pass protection. Luke's, you know, shown us what he can do in the pass game too. He's done a good job so far in camp. And then everyone kind of behind them, you know, we're talking about Braden, Jake, and then Ross. You know, there's a good competition there, I think, for those last couple spots. Those guys are doing a good job. They're very consistent. They show up every day. They're on it. You know, those guys are going to push each other all throughout camp. So we're just kind of tracking that as we go through it.
What have you seen from Jordan Watkins? Obviously his speed is noticeable, but like just cerebrally, like how he picks up on things.
Yep. Another guy we're impressed with, you know, mentally. He did a good job in the spring, obviously. He had a good OTAs, you know, but coming back and just starting to stack days and stacking the mental, that's the strain on a rookie. You know, obviously the strain on your body, but then the mental strain of showing up to practice every day and being on it. And he does that, right? He has shown that he can handle the mental load. He does a really good job, and he's just got to keep getting better and keep showing up to practice and getting after it.
Pearsall in the second year now, and obviously he's only had a couple of practices, but where is he in terms of just his knowledge of the playbook and, you know, being able to kind of seamlessly fit back in?
Very knowledgeable. You know, Ricky's a really sharp guy. You know, he learns really quickly. Never really been much of an issue for him. He's just got to, you know, keep getting his body in shape. You know, he's missed some time, and Ricky's got to show up every day and just keep getting in shape and, you know, get his legs back and like the rest of these guys, get to that point we need them to in the preseason where they're just stacking days and getting ready for week one. But
Excited about Jacob Cowan coming out of the spring. Now
Yep.
he's obviously injured. What do you see him doing to do what he can so he doesn't fall too far behind?
Same things, you know, talked about with BA, but just meeting rooms, being attentive, being dialed in like you're going out there to practice, you know, just preparing mentally, you know, being on the side and watching from the side and being engaged with the group. That's all you can do. And then taking care of your rehab and getting your body ready to go for when the time comes.
Do you expect to get Jennings back soon, or is that a longer-term thing?
I think, you know, I'm not really sure. You know, his calf's bothering him, and we're going to kind of take it day by day and see where he's at.
Back in the spring, Chris Furster talked very highly about Austin Pleasance. He kind of described him as a nice surprise. He's been playing strictly right tackle and Spencer Burford left tackle. Any thought of kind of switching them around so that the guy could be a true swing tackle on game days?
Yeah, I mean, to echo Chris, Austin has done a really good job. You know, we try to put guys in their one spot in camp, you know, and let things be consistent. But I think between Austin and Spencer, both guys who we're going to hope to potentially be able to swing, you know, just seeing how it goes. But they're both doing a really good job. Spencer's working more on the left right now, Austin on the right, and we'll just kind of take it day by day.
Do you have a sense when Andre Dillard would come in and be part of that competition?
I don't have an update on Andre, no.
Back to Pearsall, what excites you about his upside?
I just think the more Ricky's out there, the more you see his route running, right? How polished it can become. I think as the year went on last year, he just got so much better versus man-to-man coverage. The more man coverage you see, the more physical DB play you see, Ricky gets better, you know, and that excites me a lot. You know, he's a guy who's going to rise to the occasion with more physical defensive back play. But he's got to be out there. He's got to be consistent, and so I think Ricky just gets better and better the more he's out there. And so he's just got to stay out there and stay healthy and take care of his body. And I think the sky's the limit for him.
Christian and Brock looking sleep deprived at all with their new status as fathers?
Not so much. They think they got pretty good support systems around them to kind of balance it out, but pretty cool what those guys are experiencing, you know, as dads. I became a dad a couple years ago. It's just, you know, you guys know it's an amazing experience. So I'm really happy for them, and, you know, it's really cool.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, cool. All right.